Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever it is you are watching this from. Guess what? I've got a special guest.
Hi!
You all know Cath Tyldesley, actress extraordinaire, athlete, mother, career woman. How many other skills have you got under your belt?
Yeah, not that many. I think we're safe with those.
She's being humble, she's playing it down. Tonight it's going to be something slightly different. We're going to try and steer the Q&A in a slightly different angle. Obviously a lot of you only get to speak to my ugly mug, which is probably going to bore you after a while. But Kath is going to have a very unique perspective on training, on life, on how to fit stuff in, you know, especially for you females out there. I may be able to give you a little bit of advice on menstruation and being a mother and this, that and the other. This is a girl who has gone through it, right? So
yeah.
Your lovely little son Alfie. So we will start picking up questions as they come in. Loads of you. Say hello, say hello. Lots of you coming in already. I've got some questions for you while people are coming in.
Okay.
Tell us about your experience with UP.
So I've been training with UP for quite a few years now, on and off.
When did we meet? Like 6, 7 years ago?
7 years ago.
7 years ago. 7 years. We go back way back.
Yeah. And then obviously UP opened in Manchester, praise be to God, and I started training properly at the Manchester gym. So I've trained there a while, but then recently I kind of figured I wanted to challenge myself physically and I wanted to take the plunge and do a 12-week body transformation with Evil Steve. You've all heard of Evil Steve.
The now famous Evil Steve, which, might I add, says he's not good on camera, but you made him kind of go on camera the other day, right?
And he's great on camera.
He was wicked on camera.
Yeah, we need to get him on social media.
Anyone who's not seen that, you should go and check that out, because it was really, really good. I spotted him today. She's obviously brushed off some of your skill onto Steve.
Absolutely.
Right?
No, he's wicked. He's you know, he's an amazing trainer. And the 12 weeks has been extremely hard, but I have loved every second of it. And I genuinely feel healthier and stronger than ever before. I actually feel a little bit competitive now.
Of course.
Like every time I lift a bit heavier, I'm like, yes, Kath, come on.
You do, don't you? I think it's one of those things, especially for women, that it gives you a confidence that you may not find out elsewhere, right? You know, you put out a post the other day about something happening on a train, and your response was quite an abrupt but beautiful response.
Yeah.
And I love that, and that's something I think that for a lot of women out there, they need to know that they're strong, right?
Absolutely, and it gives you such confidence. I'm not just talking physically. Obviously your body is going to change if you're sticking to the plan and your nutrition is good, then your body can change dramatically. But also up here, mentally, it gives you so much more confidence, not just in the way that you dress, etc., but you feel strong. And for me, that was the most important thing. It wasn't necessarily that much about weight loss.
Yeah.
It was the fact that, you know, I have a son. I need the energy to keep up with a 3-year-old that doesn't sleep very well, and I want to be on this planet for as long as possible. Yeah,
of course. I think a child changes your perspective on everything, right? Suddenly it's the most unselfish moment of your life when you suddenly think, hang on a minute, it's not about me anymore.
Massively. And I was selfish. If I had a day off, I was straight down the spa, and all of a sudden, you know, I'm at Legoland. But, you know, wouldn't change it for the world. This person becomes your priority, and therefore you want to take better care of yourself.
Of course. Do you find it, I mean, how do you manage to, well, one of the things we get a lot of people out here, they will talk about time. Like, for me, it's a lot of it from a personal trainer's point of view. It's the perception of time I find with you guys and girls, that you think you have a lot less time than you do, often because of procrastination and maybe not managing your time well, but you've got a lot going on, right? You know, tell us about the stuff you've got going on and how you still manage to fit in your training, your eating, and how you're motivated to do that.
It is hard, but I think that old saying, fail to prepare, prepare to fail, puts you in good stead. Tupperware is your best friend. I've learnt that training with you. So on a Sunday night, I will prep for a few meals ahead, maybe till like Wednesday, for example. If I know I've got a busy week, then I'll cook things in a big pot, things like curries and chilies, which are really simple, low budget, healthy meals to do.
You know how to cook as well, don't you, right?
I'm alright. I'm messy, but it always tastes good.
Standard creative, right? Standard creative. What's it's the pit fields that you put all
the pit fields, yeah, we post a lot of our recipes on the pit fields because they're great for the whole family, and a lot of them you can put in the freezer, you can use for your lunch the next day, and it makes it easier to stick to the plan then. But yeah, it's just about preparation, and UP has given me the tools to not freak out. So you know, if I've got a day where I can't get to the gym, then make sure I'm walking to whatever destination I'm going to, or maybe do a little bit of HIIT training in the morning at the hotel. Or
these are the kind of important bits, right? Is the little parts can help. Trying to slip this in, slip that in. I think I wrote an article the other day for Daddy Life, a magazine, and talking about how parents can get a bit of training. I think with a young kid, it's even more difficult. I mean, being a toddler now, maybe slightly easier, but certainly as a baby. While your kid is in the bath, do some squats. While your kid is asleep, do some squats. Do a little circuit, stuff like that. And that's what, we've spoken quite a lot on your often, I've just done a 5 AM HIIT session in a hotel room, right? Because you're always on the road as well.
Yeah.
So
100%. Even when I take Alfie to the park, he loves being on the swing. He will stay on the swing for half an hour. So every time I push him, I do a squat. And it sounds daft, but actually 5 minutes of that, 5 minutes of that, it's really kicking in.
Yeah, of course.
You know.
I like it. With regards to your career and actually trying to do that, because you move around a lot, right?
Yeah.
Auditions, London, Manchester, you're everywhere. How do you keep yourself motivated to get up early in the mornings? I know, you're doing your 12-week transformation, which can be challenging. It can be really, really difficult. How have you managed to keep yourself on top of that? And, getting up when you know you've got a train journey. And it's not like, even with the best intentions, you're not going to start standing in the aisle of a train and do squats, are you? But how do you kind of fit that in with... Not fit in. How do you keep yourself motivated to get off your ass and do it?
Sometimes it's hard. My son doesn't always sleep very well, and sleep is a huge thing when you're training. But as a family, it is easier than you think. So we love going on long walks. It costs nothing. We'll make a really healthy picnic to take with us. We'll get Alfie involved in the kitchen, so he's learning cooking skills at the same time.
This is the key, right? Child labour. Teach your child how to cook really, really early, then make them do it for you.
Winner. So he loves doing that. Long walks are a real good one for us. And like I say, sort of hench mama park workouts. When he's on the roundabout, I'll do walking lunges around the roundabout. Yes, I get some strange looks, but who's going to have a peach?
Oh, I can't wait to see the paparazzi get on with this. This is going to be amazing. So there you go. There's some real world tips on how Kath manages her thing. Go to a park and look like a bit of a fool for an hour or two a day.
Why not?
Done. Right, we're going to field some questions. Let's see what's going on. So we've got lots of people. Hello. Any questions? Who's going to break the question virginity tonight? Loads of stuff coming. We've got loads of hellos.
Hello.
Hi, Kath. Okay, how the hell do you deal with DOMs and a toddler? That's quite a good question. I like that.
That's a really good question. Salt baths.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in salt baths, magnesium baths. I do think it helps massively. I generally wait till Alfie's gone to bed because otherwise he wants to get in the bath with me, but a good 20-minute soak, because if you're absorbing transdermally as well, it gets into the system quicker. I find it really helps. There
you go. You see, so that's something I say to all of you every single time. Magnesium salts or topical magnesium, if you can get magnesium cream on your body, it will really, really help. We were actually talking just 10 minutes before the live feed about hot and cold therapy as well. You would be amazed at how good switching your shower, for instance, from a hot shower to a cold shower and standing on it, it's going to suck. It will suck. But for 10 seconds, you'll be amazed what that does to your circulation and how quick it will help get rid of DOM. So, good advice there. Real world advice for the toddler. And I would suggest probably don't bounce them on and off your quads.
Well, no ideally not.
No, never going to work. Kayak 85. I have a question. I'm following the UP meal plan body transformation. Using the calculations of the book, I've been within the range for protein, fats and carbs, but I'm 100 off of calories below. That's Kayak. That is because they're never specific. So if you were to take fats, for instance, fats is like 9.42 grams per calorie. Oh, sorry, 9.2 calories per gram. Proteins 4.2. It goes on. So the decimals actually start to add up. That will be why you're a bit off once you get into the 2,000 calorie mark. What breakfast would you recommend if you're on the go? Like, what do you have when you're moving around?
I do eat a lot of eggs.
Yeah,
because they're a great source of protein and good fats, and they're so quick. You know, when people say, I don't have time to eat breakfast.
Eggs are literally...
minutes.
Eggs 100% make your excuse completely invalid. Eggs are absolutely awesome. I'm the same with that omelette this morning, omelette yesterday morning. It takes what? Even for someone like me, now, you have the two polar opposites here. You have yin and yang, you have light and dark, you have good and evil. She can cook. I not only can't cook, I hate cooking. But an omelette, eggs, scrambled eggs, easiest thing in the world.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And even if you prep the night before, make some boiled eggs. You know, sometimes I do that if I know I'm getting on the train.
That's why she's popular on the train. Opens up a Tupperware tub of boiled eggs.
Really normal.
That Cath Tyldesley ruins everything. So yeah, Lou Wilson, that I think is a really, really good answer. Obviously, the optimal breakfast is always going to be protein and fat. So eggs are super easy. They can, you know, it's not like a steak that as you're carrying it around in Tupperware, it's going to start to get a little bit chewy. It's going to start to get a bit rough. If you make an omelette, it's staying pretty much as you chill it. So go with that. It's a really, really easy way to do it. Blondie, how can I give up bread and what's a good substitute? Why? My first question initially, there's an obsession with carbs here. You don't necessarily have to give up bread. The problem is with giving something up, eventually it has to come back in. When it does, you're going to feel a bit shit about it. We love carbs.
Yeah.
This is a good question that will lead on, and no doubt something that will come in. You know, if you are restricting carbs, because like me, lower carbs works for you, right? Like, you know it works for you.
Yeah.
How do you deal with certain foods? I mean, bread's not one of your things. How do you deal with not having certain foods in your diet?
I replace things. So my thing is taking, because I love comfort foods, who doesn't? Things like pizza, things like shepherd's pie, lasagna. I love all those foods, especially as we move into autumn, winter. So my thing is taking comfort foods and putting a spin on them, trying to make them healthier. And it's not rocket science, it's tiny changes. So if you're going to make a shepherd's pie, making sure that you use lean mince. I mean, you could even use turkey mince as opposed to lamb or beef.
Yeah. And
just switching from regular potatoes to sweet potatoes.
Yes, basically, in that way, the way you've done, because that's essentially what the Pitfield is, right? Taking the favourites, taking your favourites and making them healthier. But the way she says lean mince there, so for instance, a half kilo of lean mince, a really good one. We actually put a video up on our Instagram channel the other day. The difference between normal minced beef you're going to get from a supermarket and lean minced beef is about 300 calories in a half kilo. So you do that, and then you use a slight, you know, a few small adjustments. You've completely changed the meal if somebody becomes healthy. So in answer to your question, why give up bread? Because eventually it's going to come back in and you're going to trip over, you're going to stumble, you're going to fail, which isn't necessarily a good thing. Secondly, find ways of, you know, make your own bread. There are a million different ways to make certain treats.
I've discovered sweet potato wraps recently, which are great. And also there's a new product on the market called Lodo, which are a godsend for me, because sometimes I do crave that bread.
Totally a shameless plug.
It's not a shameless plug, I promise. But you know, it's finding those alternatives. They are out there, and most supermarkets now sell the chia seed wraps and sweet potato wraps, coconut flesh wraps, which, you know, kind of still give you that comforting feeling, but it's not bread per se.
Yeah. Options. There are always options. Always, always options. Gemma Lee James. I'd like to know the best breakfast. I don't eat meat and too many eggs can upset me. Bread bloats me. It's one of those things. Not eating meat is potentially going to leave you deficient in an awful lot of stuff, but for whatever reason, we won't go into that. It's a totally different subject. Eggs are absolutely awesome, but there are many, many ways to skin a cat. Fish is another good one. You know, smoked salmon, mackerels, exactly. There's plenty of different foods. You don't have to be so adamant about sticking to certain rules. Just because you've read something doesn't necessarily mean it's right. Everybody is different. Some people can have carbs for breakfast. Some people should be on proteins and fats. You know, there are scrambled eggs. If you're not into meats, you can have fish. There's a load of different options. Something you'd probably be really good at as well as making like protein-style snacks out of powders, right? That's probably something you're quite creative with.
Yeah, it is. And also breaking the rules, because when we think of breakfast, people think, oh, I'll have a bowl of cornflakes. Sometimes I eat tuna steak for breakfast. You know, not all the time, or prawns because they're quick. It's about not having that image in your head of what breakfast should be.
Break your social conditioning, break things that you've been told for so long.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with that, I say, be a bit more imaginative. And you know, the internet, we live in an age where everything is available at your fingertips if you want it, including on our own website. So go over to the website and just search breakfast. You know, the amount of articles, the amount of content that we've put up that is going to give you so many options, so many ideas. Even if something isn't there, something will inspire you and say, oh, do you know what, I can try this. So try that. Charlie Houston, what happened to the Barry Pitts video? We are re-editing it because somebody took a bit of an offence to our sense of humour, so we had to take it back off. I can't believe someone would do that with me, right?
No, not at all, Al.
No. Hi guys, looking at flexible dieting. I suggest you don't look at flexible dieting. Do I need to work around training days, just worried about recovery energy? You always want to diet based on your training. Higher days, when it comes to carbohydrates especially, higher days should be on training days, lower days should be on non-training days. With regards to flexible dieting, if by that you mean the sort of if it fits your macros approach, take it from me now, don't do it. Silly. What equipment is needed to train at home when joining your online programs? you do body weight stuff at home, right? So your body weight is a really, really good start. With regards to the online programs, if you're specifically talking about Live Up, it's a gym-based program. So if you wanted to do that at home, you would at the very least need dumbbells, barbells, and probably a cable machine, and even then it would still be compromised. So I suggest you get to a gym if you can. If not, then high-intensity interval training workouts, bodyweight stuff, squats, lunges, presses, the kind of stuff that Kath does in hotels, does in probably on set at times, right? If you're locked into a set for a long time. I mean, how long would you're auditioning all the time, you know, we talk about it a lot, but when you're on set, you probably don't get the chance to train, right? You're not Dwayne Johnson who can travel around with a massive... Give her like 2 years, she'll be doing the same.
Yeah. It's just fitting it in. So when I was at Corrie, if I couldn't get to the gym, you know, then I'd go on a walk in my lunch break. Or I have been known actually to squat Shane Ward.
There you go. Shane.
Pick up a friend, squat a friend.
Shane, if you're watching, she said you were way too heavy. You should probably get to UP.
No, I didn't.
She didn't. Right. How many eggs a day can I eat? Is there a limit? No, not really, in my opinion. Eggs got a really, really bad rep back in the, I believe it was probably 60s or 70s. They decided that they were bad, and because they didn't quite understand LDL cholesterol, HDL cholesterol, etc., they said they were elevating cholesterol. Now, that myth's hung around like a really bad smell. Now, studies have caught up with anecdotal evidence, and everybody now knows that eggs are very, very, very good for you. Is there a limit? For me, probably don't overcomplicate it. If it causes you gastric distress, if it causes you issues with your stomach, maybe back off a bit. If it doesn't, kind of go nuts. I probably eat between 3 and 6 a day, and I'd consider myself fairly healthy. Please open in Scotland. Hi from Mexico. Hello. Should I eat before my morning run? I would suggest, depends what your goal is. Fasted cardio I'm actually a bit of a fan of, but running I'm not a fan of. How do you like running?
Oh, I wish I liked it, but I'm just not great at
it.
See, no.
Cool people don't like running quite so much.
I love walking. I can walk and trek, and I love that, but I'm not a runner.
No. So there we go. What you've got to remember about running, you know, you can do fasted cardio. For me, I do actually find it quite effective, but never truly fasted. Have branched chain amino acids, BCAAs, and essential amino acids before and during, but I wouldn't necessarily suggest running. The reason being that the risk versus reward, what you get out of running versus the risk of running, i.e. ankle issues, knee issues, back issues, elevated cortisol, the stress issues that can come from it, the muscle tissue breakdown, it's probably not worth it. You're better off walking because it's going to put you in the right zone for burning more fat. It's not going to give you the issues with your joints. And, you know, people talk about runners' euphoria. I get the exact opposite. I won't go into that. But walking calms your body, it settles you down, it gets everything done. So I'd probably try and steer you a bit more towards walking, but if you don't want to eat, make sure you're having branched chain amino acids at the very least. My PT has had 1 brown toast for breakfast. Is this okay considering I said I don't eat bread? It depends why you don't eat bread. If you say you don't eat bread because you don't want to eat carbs because you believe they'll make you fat, which is quite often why people say, oh no, I don't eat bread, then your PT has done it for a reason. There's no reason to disbelieve him or her. But if you genuinely don't eat bread, then say to him, look, I told you I don't eat bread. You've obviously not paid attention. Change it. The answer. Low dough is awesome, but not cheap.
That's true.
Mozilla, that's the thing, but this is something I speak about a lot, and you can't really put a price on your health, right?
No.
It's just one of those things that you may say, people say it with organic food. Like, I get it. Some organic food can be really, really damn expensive. But depending on where you are in the world, so can medical bills, so can medication, so can anti-inflammatories, so can painkillers. It's
yeah,
a big thing.
I appreciate there are certain products on the market that are more expensive than others, and but there's always an alternative. You know, I've been on my ass skin in the past and still managed to eat healthily. I do think that can be a bit of an excuse. Yes, I had to be really savvy and go to different supermarkets, and I started to grow my own vegetables, which was actually really enjoyable.
Proper good lifestyle.
Proper good life, yeah. I killed most things, but you know, it's fine. My dad's a gardener. I do think, yes, you have to be more savvy, but there are always other options. Like I say, when I was really skinny, I still managed to eat healthily, and it's about having that knowledge and making big pots of things like curries and chilies that you can freeze. This is another thing, you know, I think a lot of what causes expense for people cooking is the lack of preparation and thinking ahead, because if you're buying little bits at a time, of course it's probably going to be expensive. Something I used to say, most of you who watch this, most of you maybe follow Kath and know Kath's history and you follow us, you're fitness conscious, right?
Speak to the people at your gym. Okay, who wants to go in on meat orders with me? You go to a butcher and say, there's 10, 20 of us, we want to have X amount of meat, organic meat each time, will you do us a deal? Almost every butcher on the planet is probably going to drop 20, 30, 40% off of it. Yeah. Think about it, you know, use what you have around you, use your head. There is always a way, you know. These are handy little solutions, little knowledge bombs, but again, like I said, there's somewhat of a smoke screen here. There's somewhat of an excuse for some of you, because if it really is that important to you, then you will find a way to do it. You know, you're standing here in front of two people who are really, really fat, right? You were a big girl. Yeah, yeah. I was a big lad, never tall enough, unfortunately. As you can see, I'm trying to stand on tiptoes here to make myself look big. I'm wearing big heels, I'll let you off. So am I. Yeah, it's about how important it is to you. I think when your skin, if it is a priority to you, you will figure out a way to do it. If it's not, you probably won't. Bread and bagels I don't like, what can I swap these for? Then if you don't like them, that's a difference between not being able to eat them, but I would suggest go to your trainer and ask him. You know, oats, could be potatoes, it could be any other form of carb that you need. Never be afraid to ask your trainer, your coach, whether it's us or anybody else. You have to be able to communicate with your trainer. You have to be able to, you need to tell them the truth, which is something that often is a bit of a discrepancy in the client-trainer relationship, but communicate with them, talk to them, tell them how you're feeling, tell them what you want, because it's the only way we can help as a trainer. And, you know, everybody by now knows Evil Steve, right? And you've got a good relationship with Evil Steve.
Yeah, I figure if you don't tell your trainer the truth, the only person you're screwing over is yourself. And I feel like have a little discrepancy. It's like going to confession. I can't lie to Evil Steve. I have to tell him.
This is a funny thing about Kath, right? One of the UK's finest actors can't lie for shit. Nothing. Can't do it. It's a good thing, obviously. But yeah, you need to be, what you have to bear in mind from our point of view, if Kath is my client and she doesn't tell me every little bit of truth, irrelevant of whether it's bad or not, the decision I then make is ill-educated.
Yeah.
I need to know everything in order to say, okay, well, if that's happened, this is what we need to change to still move you towards your goal. If that hasn't been happening, we have a real issue. Okay, so. Also, we've got more. What do you think about dynamic warm-ups with weights? Absolutely do a dynamic warm-up. If you go over to my YouTube channel, Elliot Upton, there's a dynamic warm-up on there that I do and I've always done with all of my clients. You can see that rather than me talking you through it now. Go straight on over there, check that out on YouTube. Kalea, my aim is to build muscle. I have been training for 1 month. Is it vital I take creatine and glutamine powder? Can I take something more natural or will this slow down my muscle gain? Okay, two things. Number one, it's not vital that you take anything, but it's usually helpful. Number two, creatine and glutamine, when you say something more natural, it's not getting much more natural than amino acids. I think you may have a little bit of a misconception as to what glutamine and creatine are. They are needed in the body. They're going to, creatine, for instance, is used in muscular contractions. It helps stop osteoporosis, so degenerative diseases with females. It's going to help bring fluid into the muscles. It does a million different things, and glutamine is kind of like a wonder supplement. To cut a long story short, glutamine kind of replaces anything that you're deficient in. So it's one of those things you should probably put in. Creatine and glutamine are not unnatural substances. You shouldn't really be worried about putting them in your body. Do you recommend carbs after a workout? I work out fasted in the morning and it is a high carb breakfast okay after this, or should I still focus on protein and fats? This kind of goes down Bateman Hanna. This kind of goes down to genetics. Like I say, Kath and I, we don't do too well with carbs. We know it, we love carbs, but we tend not to do very well with carbs. I mean, I just want to eat carbs all the time. However, when I do, I feel crappy afterwards, and I'll guess you're the same, right?
Same, and I'll retain a lot of water. And it's about choosing the right carbs as well, isn't it? You know, not going straight towards a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
You know, if you do want carbs and you're feeling a bit low in energy, then going towards the right source, your root vegetables, your sweet potato, things like that.
Listen to the signals that your body's giving you and interpret them correctly. Is basically what she's saying. I think what a lot of us do is we get a little bit low and then we reach for, and don't get me wrong, it's not necessarily sometimes a conscious decision. It's our brain saying, how can I solve this problem as fast as I can? So instead of saying go and eat some potato, it's going to say go and eat a cake. It's going to say go and eat a cookie, etc. So in answer to your question, carbs should really be taken after your workout. The reason being is that when you train, you use fuel. You create an energy deficit within the muscle tissue. Carbohydrates then kind of fill that up. The way to imagine it is, you've got a glass of water. Here's a candle pot. If you imagine that is a muscle cell, And glucose, sugar, fills it up. Okay, provided you can keep your blood sugar under control, when you train, you tip all of the sugar out of that glass, and then it's reset and it's ready to fill again. The problem is that if you have too many carbs, fills up, fills up, fills up, and guess what? Overflows. That overflowing means that you have high blood sugar. That high blood sugar can kill you. It's dangerous. So your body will say, do you know what? I need to protect it. I'm going to convert that, take it down to the liver, convert it into fat. So if that overflow occurs, it turns those carbs into fat. For some people, probably namely us two, that process happens a little bit too easy, frustratingly. For a lot of people, it will almost not happen at all. So every single one of you is different. Always, always, always try to get your carbs in after your training. That's a pretty much golden rule for most people. But see how you feel, you know? We know, I know, Kath knows that if we have carbs, we feel a bit rough, we feel a bit crappy. So it may well be worth you seeing how you feel. Do you have energy, or do you get a 10 o'clock slump, you know? A classic example is if you have a bowl of oats in the morning, and of course, oats are a really clean carb. You know, you can make all sorts of stuff about, and they're really versatile. But if you get to 10 o'clock in the morning and you turn to coffee,
yeah.
She's a coffee fiend. It's all, I had to pick on her for that. She's a little bit of a coffee fiend. But if you get that sudden slump in the middle of the morning and you think, okay, I need an energy boost, so you're either going to turn to caffeine or a stimulant, or you're going to turn to something sugary, office biscuits, donuts, whatever. That's usually a good sign that you haven't been using those carbs properly. You've had an insulin spike because blood sugar has overflowed, and there is an issue. So you may want to go to protein and fats.
I think it's experimenting, isn't it, as well? When I started on the 12-week program, Steve was like, we're going to increase your carbs slightly, and we're going to change this, and we're going to change that, and I was a little bit freaked out. But it's about gauging how you're, you know, monitoring yourself to see how your body responds to different ways of, you know, using the nutrition plan. Yeah,
listening to what's coming back and figuring out, haven't gone too far, haven't gone back, you know.
Yeah.
And assess and adjust. Every trainer in the world, this is again what we mean about you have to tell the truth to your trainer, because your trainer assesses the information you give them, looks at what's happened to your body and says, do you know what, I need to adjust somewhere, something needs to change. So she's really, really right there. A lot of it is experimentation, and of course, everybody wants answers. It's part of the reason we're here. We try to find the answers, we try to give our clients the answers, but ultimately, there kind of isn't one. The human body is a really, really complex, fascinating, and infinitely adaptable thing. And no two people are the same. So what works for me won't work for Kath. What works for Kath won't work for you. So you have to kind of try things and give them a chance to work. You know, this is another thing. A lot of people out there jump from diet to diet to workout without actually giving them a chance to do something. But give it a chance to work, see what happens, and adjust based on the feedback that you feel. Philly, hello. Any snack or exercise motivation tips for night shift workers? That's a good question. For me, personally, what I've always said to people who work shifts, because it can be really, really difficult, is to treat your nutrition as a week. Don't treat it daily. Because your sleep patterns are all over the place, you need to look at your nutrition and say, okay, how many calories do I need this week? How many meals do I plan on having? Some days you may have 4, some days you may have 6, some days you may have 3, as long as it all goes in the week. But that's kind of, you know, again, some of it is going to come down to your willpower, your desire to get the result. Again, this is probably something that could be relevant to you, Kath, because you're going to do a lot of work that takes you into silly hours.
Yeah,
in the morning,
absolutely.
Right?
You know,
how do you manage your food with that?
Again, it's preparation. It really is. You know,
keeps coming back to it.
On night shoots, God bless television and film industry, so there's a lot of pies floating around, there's a lot of bacon sandwiches, which is lovely and very appealing at daft o'clock in the morning, but I always took stuff with me, because otherwise you feel that knackered and your body is out of sync. You're going to reach for whatever's there.
Shitty snacks as opposed to the right ones.
Yeah, so just prepping, and I just prep things that I love cooking, but I'm a bit of a lazy cook, so I'll cook healthy things that are very fast. So if I knew I was on a night shoot, I'd whip up a tuna salad, which costs next to nothing, you know, a tin of tuna or whatever. It's just having those things ready in Tupperware to go.
So there's kind of your answer is, for snacks, especially for shift workers, make sure you have something with you. You know, even fruit, vegetables, carrot sticks. It kind of sounds boring, I know, but if you're caught short, like Kath says, if you haven't prepped, that's when you're going to screw up, and you don't really want that to happen. So prep stuff. If it's not a full meal, you know, prep. Again, we mentioned omelettes earlier. Slice omelettes into bits and just have a quick chew, like almost like a Spanish tortilla. Really, really easy to eat. Prepare, 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 prepare. That's always going to be your best friend with this stuff. Rich Glyn Williams, the best pre-workout. Now, obviously, number one is Focus, our own pre-workout, which can be found on the link in the bio. But next one is probably going to be coffee, if you are not overstimulated. If you're not overstimulated. Now, we have a bit of a back and forth about this all the time. I say, Kath's a bit of a coffee fiend.
I love coffee.
Don't get me wrong, I really like coffee, but my issue with coffee and pre-workouts specifically is that you have to ask yourself why you need a pre-workout. If you're constantly low in motivation, if you're exhausted, if you're stepping in the gym not able to train, masking it with pre-workout is not going to work because something else is wrong. You could be overtraining, you could be under-eating, you could be under-resting. Now you're masking it with pre-workout to get a good session because you're still trying to progress. Guess what? If whatever the root cause of that tiredness is hidden, you're not going to progress. You have to sort that out. The best pre-workout is always going to be the right program, adequate amounts of rest and adequate amounts of sleep. If not, a combination of a shot of caffeine, a shot, not multiple shots, and our Focus supplement, which can be found on the link in the bio.
I think what was interesting though, sorry to interrupt, was what you were saying about the body's natural cortisol levels the other day, because I was a bit of a fiend for having a coffee in the afternoon, but since speaking to you, I have knocked that on the head. You'll be pleased to know I have, unless I'm really tired. So I'll just have one in the morning before my session, and it has made a difference.
Of course.
And I am sleeping better.
So what Kath's talking about there, and what we've discussed a few times, is the body's natural cortisol curve. So we'll try and draw a table on here. If you imagine a table, right? We've got x-axis and y-axis. In the morning, in the AM, cortisol has to be high. What actually wakes you up is a shot of cortisol. Your body's stress hormone acutely comes up, wakes you up, and you're ready to go. Now, what should happen is over time, I'm being really rude, put my arms in front of Kath's face here. No, we're cool, we're good. What should happen over the day is that cortisol level, the blood cortisol level comes down and gets lower and lower and lower until the end of the day, when our body should be calm, it should be ready to sleep. The problem is, what we do is we wake up in the morning, we have a coffee, which is fine because cortisol's already high. But then 2 hours later, possibly because we've eaten some carbs and we shouldn't have, or we've had the wrong breakfast or something like that, we get tired again. So we have a coffee, cortisol goes up, starts to drift down. 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, oh, I'm knackered, but I've still got 4 hours left of my day. Do you know what? I'll have a coffee. Bang, goes up again. We don't get to 9, 10 o'clock at night, wonder why we can't sleep. Can't sleep because we're overstimulated. Now, that in a relatively short-term sense is going to screw up your recovery, it's going to screw up your fat loss, it's going to screw up your ability to build muscle. Chronically, over time, it also overstimulates your adrenal gland because your adrenal gland is always trying to stimulate the release of cortisol. Okay, eventually it packs up and it leaves. It says, do you know what, I'm too tired, you've overused me. It's like, you know, working 7 days a week and getting 3 hours rest a day. Eventually your body will collapse. It will not just keep going and going and going. So try to work with your natural cortisol curve when it comes to stimulants. If you're going to take pre-workout, if you're going to take caffeine, take it first thing in the morning, get your training sessions out of the way, and at least that limits the damage. You can work with your body's natural need to be awake and to rest. How do I join UP and where are you? If you go to upfitness.com, you can check out any one of our locations and send an inquiry through to there and you can get involved. Gutted to see Catherine leave Corrie. What's she got lined up next? She's got all sorts lined up next. Busy woman. I'm a big lad, but I need to get lean and stay focused on what I eat. That's probably a very good plan. Hello from Salford, Manchester. Hi. Hi. I walk loads at work, sometimes 5 miles a day. How many times should I train in terms of resistance and cardio? I want to lose some body fat. For most people, 3 to 4 times a week is enough. Weight training sessions, you know, you hear me bleat on about it and a lot of you don't believe it, but you train hard, right? Yeah. When you're in UP, you get your ass kicked.
Yeah, and then some.
Exactly, right? If you are training to the right intensity, you are training correctly, you're probably not going to want to train more than 3 to 4 days a week because your body just simply can't recover from that. So you're better off getting into your sessions, getting your head into your sessions and training damn hard, making the most of that hour, and then spending the rest of your time resting, keeping your stress hormones level. We mentioned at the beginning of the video about time. Half the reason a lot of you think you haven't got time, partially, is probably because you train too much. You know, the classic, and this may be something that's relevant to you because it's often the desperation of when you were slightly bigger. Girls, you're the worst for it. Going into a gym, David Lloyd at Fitness First, LA Fitness, whatever, and training for 4 or 5 hours a night. You go in and do your weights, and you do your cardio, you do body pump, and then you do yoga, right?
Yeah, that was. I just used to get on a cross trainer or a treadmill, and I'd be on there forever and a day. And it's only now that I know what I'm doing that I utilise my time better.
Yeah.
And learning how to weight train correctly, so I can go in and train 2-3 times a week with Steve and see bigger results than going in 5-6 times a week and spending 2 hours on a cross trainer, which, let's be honest, bullshit it is.
Absolutely. So there it is, straight from Kath's mouth. Train smart and not harder. It's a bit of a cliche, but if you're genuinely putting the effort in your sessions, you're going to get way more out of 3 hours a week than you will out of 6, unless you're a complete genetic freak who can recover from 6 sessions a week. Hello from Ireland. Hello. Hello. Hi guys, thanks for doing this. That was terrible. I wouldn't make it. I wouldn't make it.
Don't do it again.
There's no Oscar coming here. Can you please recommend a good pre-workout? What is the best to eat before workouts? Himanshu, yes, as I've just said. Focus, go to the website upfitness.com and search Focus in the search bar. That's our own pre-workout. Or potentially a coffee, but if you're training after, well, basically after 12 o'clock in the afternoon, don't have any.
The Focus stuff is really good. I tried that for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and it's all natural ingredients as well.
Yeah, as with all of our supplements, please bear that in mind. Anything we discuss supplement-wise today can be found on upfitness.com, so make sure you go on over there and get hold of some of that. Supplements are another one that, do you know, it's going to be really interesting for me to get a female's point of view. I go on about this on the live feeds all the time, but people have a massive over-reliance on supplements, right? What are your opinions on food versus supplements? Because again, coming from a girl who's been a lot heavier and probably had times of desperation and you were thinking, I just need something, you were probably always looking for a magic pill, right? And you've kind of learned your lesson. Yeah. Where was a turning point where you suddenly thought, you know what, I was maybe getting it wrong by looking for a quick fix, whether it's a surgery fix, whether it's a supplement fix, whether it's a detox camp fix, anything like that. Where do you feel like your epiphany came when you suddenly thought, hang on, I can fix this with food?
I felt like I'd done every fad diet under the sun, all the shake diets, the cabbage soup, the grapefruit diet, the maple syrup diet, everything. I tried everything, and yes,
I didn't even know half these diets existed.
They do. I've been there, and sometimes I would, drop a few pounds for a couple of weeks. But I was starving, and it's mainly water and lean muscle mass that you're losing. You can't sustain that lifestyle. The only way, and I'm sure a lot of you already know this because I've ranted and raved about it for a few years now. Diets like that do not work. Fatty diets do not work. The only way to sustain a healthy body and a healthy mind is having a balanced diet, eating from the land. If it ran, swam, or grew from the earth, eat it. Anything else has been tampered with. I think that's a great rule to live by.
100%.
And it's helped me because I can sustain it now. I don't feel hungry. In fact, at the minute, I'm eating more than I ever have done because I'm training hard and I'm eating the right things. I'm eating natural things. I feel great. My energy's through the roof. So yeah, all those fatty diets, they're big money-making scams really that aren't going to sustain a healthy lifestyle.
There you go. There you go. Right. Gabriella Ashmore. I'm a size 16 and I'm currently on a low carb diet. I've been told I need to eat carbs when I'm working out. Is this true? Yes, potentially. The way to think about carbs are not the devil. Carbs have a really bad reputation because of poor social education from our own parents. It's not their fault. It was conditioned into them. And a massive overuse of carbs in the general diet. Carbs are not your enemy, they just need to be used correctly. Don't be afraid of them, just use them right. Calories are kind of king, and have your carbs after your training. Are you a fan of Russian volume training for someone who uses weights but not overly heavy, looking to get stronger? Russian volume training, I can't tell you I know much about that. German volume training I know a lot about, but not so much Russian volume training, so it's a question I can't really give you. Could you give a brief overview of your online guide, looking to buy it, just wanted a bit more info, what type of exercises, how many days training? I believe you're talking about the Live Up plans, which are 3 days per week, 2 interval training sessions, and we've got a visitor just here. Gone out there. Hello.
Hi, just sneak in there. That's okay.
It'll always be alright on the night. We have 3 training days, 2 interval days, and general activity goals. Hayley Timms. Kath, I work full-time, have 3 kids. As a busy mum yourself, any tips on how to maintain your diet? Do you do a lot of prep? This is something that has come up in the chat, but yes, she preps.
I do. 3 kids, wow. Hats off to you. I've only got 1 and I struggle. But yeah, it's prep. Sundays are my best day for doing that. As soon as Alfie goes to bed, that's when I get all the Tupperware out and just try and prep for a few days to save myself time, which is great if you've got a family because, you know, like I keep saying, big pots of things, you know, healthy versions of things like shepherd's pie, even lasagna, you know, using vegetable layers as opposed to pasta, you know, like things like aubergine, courgette ribbons, curries, chilies, things like that, things that easily reheat are an absolute godsend. Get it all done on a Sunday, you're saving yourself loads of time, you're going to save money as well. I think they're 2 of the biggest things that as, you know, a family you find are the biggest constraints of time and money. Tupperware people. Tupperware and prep.
It is your
Definitely,
friend.
it is my best friend.
So the biggest thing about that, and especially as a mother that of course you're going to be conscious of, is that the better you're eating, the chances are the better your kids are going to eat, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I wouldn't give Alfie anything that I wouldn't eat.
And you just don't eat the chocolate bars and cakes near him, right?
I just don't eat milk.
Exactly. No, you got to think about that. Your children are going to be almost a direct average, certainly in the early years when they can't fend for themselves and they need to have you cook for them and they need to have you do all these things. They are going to become 50% of each of you. Now, we as humans in general, we become the average of the people we spend the most time around. Children will become you, whether you like it or not. You have to take it seriously when you're feeding them. It's
and getting them involved, getting them in the kitchen.
Teaching them, right? Yeah.
Alfie loves doing that, and like I say, we have started to try and grow our own vegetables. A little bit trial and error, but he loves that as well.
But like, knowing where your food comes from.
Knowing where your food comes from, and then helping us with it. Like he grew his own marrow the other day with his granddad, and it was just the most rewarding, best thing.
Absolutely.
And you know, we did like a Deirdre stuffed marrow. It was great. And obviously, you're saving money as well when you're growing your own vegetables.
Good luck. And it tastes so much better. Yeah, proper food tastes so much better. You know, obviously it's difficult for me to say. I'm not a parent, but I have my ideals. Everybody knows I'm rather opinionated about stuff that maybe I am not hands-on experience with, such as parenting. However, the theory behind it, you know, the better habits you teach your kids now, the longer they're going to live, the happier they're going to be, the better habits they're going to teach your grandkids, okay? It all comes around. If you are teaching them how to eat well, if you're teaching them why to eat well, you're going to have less issues with medicines, you're going to have less issues with illnesses. Various things are going to improve in your child's life by teaching them right. Remember, whatever you're cooking, you can cook for them as well. You can batch cook it, you can freeze it, you can stick it in Tupperware tubs, get them involved. Nothing but good comes of it. And family time, right? A lot of you out there are probably not spending as much time with your kids as maybe you want to because of, again, somewhat the perception of time. But what do? Okay, the kid's bored, starts crying, starts acting up. There's an iPad. I've got to cook, but I'm tired. There's a ready meal. This is from Iceland. This is from wherever. You'd be amazed, I think, how your relationship would improve with your kid. Right? You're very, very close with Alfie. But your relationship is going to improve with your children if you get them involved in stuff like this. So absolutely, yeah. Worth remembering. What are some good ways to work the upper traps, excluding shrugs? I like to even mine out. Deadlifts. Deadlift. You like a deadlift, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Girls, deadlift. Do you ever train with your husband?
Do I ever train with my husband? Yes, I have done in the past. I choose, well, we made a conscious decision not to, really. Which, by the way, I'm going to chime in here, is a very, very good idea. Don't mix you and your partners. Yeah, and he's amazing. His results are fantastic, but he is the guy that if I'm going to eat cake, I'm going to eat a little bit of cake with Tom. Of course, right. And he can eat as much cake as he wants, which makes him sick. We've discussed this because I think, Tom, if you're watching, people like you piss us off.
because you can eat what you
Very
want.
genetically blonde.
Because you can eat what you want and you don't get fat.
Always
whereas
has a six-pack.
we walk past a bag of Skittles and we put on 3 stone, which is not fair. So Tom, yeah, one of the things you find, you know, I think training with your partner can either make you or break you, because you always never stays in the gym. It never stays in the gym. And
also, my fake crying doesn't work with him. I sometimes get away with it with Evil Steve.
You go, do you actually use that? Do you fake cry? Steve.
Steve's not on Instagram.
Just an FYI. Now you know. Done. Finished. I'm going to send this. Done. This is going out company-wide. Anyone who covers Kath?
Damn it.
It's sorted. Thank you so much for answering my questions, and thank you for going live. Kath, you look amazing, doesn't she? Doesn't she? I look forward to your next live video. Yes, she's just tied you into another one. Your explanation and advice is very helpful. Thank you. You're welcome. Goodbye from Mexico. No problem. If calories dictate fat loss, why does it matter on carb timing? As I explained earlier, it's about kind of overflow and need for fuel. It's quite a big subject, maybe one for a separate video, but your carb timing for 99% of people, you need to elevate certain calories from certain macronutrients based on the energy demands. You know, how are you using the energy, where is the energy going, etc. So it's a slightly bigger question, that one, you fit. How much BCA do you take and when is the best to? I take it during all training, and I would suggest females take about 5 to 10 grams, males take about 10 to 15 grams per training session. That includes cardio, intervals, or anything else. I can't have caffeine.
Every time.
How much body fat can you lose on a 12-week transformation? An awful lot, right? You're just coming to the end of yours now. And she's lost a lot of body fat.
Yeah, so I've gone from almost 16 to, well, he's actually doing my last body fat on Friday, but I'm hoping it'll be around about 12. I think I was 12.4 last time, which is quite a big drop considering I was training quite a bit anyway. I mean, some of the results are insane, like amazing. No, seriously though, they are. They're absolutely jaw-dropping.
They are. What you have to remember, again, we've said it already in this live feed, that everybody is different. Everybody is going to lose fat at vastly different speeds. And one of the biggest problems so many of you out there are going to have is that you compare yourself to other people. You know, you'll compare yourself with Kath or Gemma or transformations on our page or people on the Live Up programs. The Live Up programs that I actually run, we have this conversation every single day because a lot of the participants will post their transformation pictures or their progress week on week inside the forum. Now, not everybody changes at the same speed. So what I suggest and what tends to be a bit of a standard is if you can lose 0.5% a week, you're bang on target, okay? If you can lose more than that, then you're doing exceptionally well. But even with the best genetics, the leaner you get, the harder it is to get lean. The more fat you're carrying, the quicker it's going to come off. So, you know, there's no real answer to that question. And what you also have to remember is that the variables are too vast. You know, how have you trained in the past? Are you training now? How much sleep are you getting? What do you do for a job? How is your emotional stress? How is your relationship? You know, we talk about stress. Halfway through your transformation, you've probably had one of the most challenging times in your career, right? And we talked about it quite a bit. It's knocked it for 6, but you can't underestimate stress. All of these variables will dictate how fast you're losing body fat. So never ever compare yourself to someone else because they are not you. You are a unique, special, wonderful person. So treat yourself as such. I eat evening dinner approximately 6:30 p.m. with lots of veg and around 20 grams of protein with carbs on a training day, but it gets to about this time and I start to feel hungry. I also drink lots of water. Have some more veg. Veg is a saviour now. If you can knock up some veg, it's a saviour if you're craving or if you're still hungry. We said earlier, Kath said it very, very rightly, that interpret what your body's saying. If your body's saying you're hungry, it's not necessarily saying I want a load more calories. It's not necessarily saying this, that, the other. It's saying I'm deficient in something. I want something. The same applies to cravings. If your body says I want chocolate brownie, it's not necessarily saying I want chocolate brownie. It's saying I could be deficient in carbohydrates. So give it carbohydrates. Give it oats. Give it bread. Give it something. You don't necessarily have to go in and do a 600 calorie brownie when you could do 100 calories of oats and solve the problem. This is something we talk about with menstrual cycles.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
Some of you women out there will suffer massively with your menstrual cycles, and all of that is about interpreting signals and saying, hey, what does this mean? How can I solve it? And you know, how do you go about kind of dealing with yours? Because you can get them.
I think before my 12-week transformation, you know, around that time of the month, I'd beat myself up a little bit. I'd be like, oh God, I just really want carbs and I really want chocolate and I don't know why because I'm eating really healthily. You know, and it was you and Steve that said, because your body needs more carbs at this time of the month. It's just about making the right choices. You know, your body's got a job to do and it's scrambling around trying to find energy that sometimes isn't there.
Yeah.
So it's about not beating yourself up and giving yourself that little bit extra when your body really needs it and the right sources. And I love chocolate. Who doesn't? So if I'm really craving chocolate, especially around that time of the month, I'll get a really high quality dark chocolate and I'll just let it dissolve on the roof of my mouth because we've got receptors in there as well that take on board the flavours and the texture, and I find that just stops my cravings. And also Choco Nutrients. I'm not getting paid for this, I promise, but Choco Nutrients by UP is a godsend. It's a godsend. Hot chocolate, you can make chocolate mousse with it, you put it in a low-fat yogurt, it's just amazing.
Do you know what I started doing with it? I actually put it completely undone on pancakes.
Nice.
Protein pancakes, you sprinkle it because it's such a rich taste on top.
Well. Chocolate slush.
It will kill your cravings.
Yeah.
This is something, you know, we talk about menstrual cycles and the mechanisms by what's the best way to say this? The things that happen to your body during your menstrual cycle are very real. Very, 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 very real. It's, you know, not you being sensitive, it's not you being a bitch, it's not you being bad-tempered, it's not being this. But over those few days, your estrogen is going to shoot up. That is going to cause bloating, it's going to cause water retention, it's going to cause massive, massive mood swings. Take them seriously and listen to them. They can be, cured is not the right word, but they certainly can be remedied quite heavily. And we talk about cravings. If your body is craving something sweet, because it's deficient in carbohydrates, plan for that time of the month and say, do you know what, I'm going to take away 200 calories worth of protein, I'm going to add 200 calories worth of carbs. Your body is more insulin sensitive, so your body's actually clearing your bloodstream of glucose a lot faster than it normally would at that time of month. Not only that, but your demand for calories is going up because you are having to replace stuff that your body is losing. The uterus lining as it's coming out, your body is creating new cells as things are falling out. That was a real kind of graphic way of putting it. Really graphic way of putting it. But it happens, right? So factor it in. You know, there's so many different things. To summarise it, if you suffer with bad PMS, here's a bunch of tools to do. Increase your carb intake for those 3 or 4 days. Have some dark chocolate, about 30 grams per night. This is what I suggest on the Live Up plan. 30 grams per night for 4 nights. High cocoa percentage. It will elevate serotonin. It's got a high magnesium content, which will also stop stomach cramps, etc. And it will give you the substrates you need, the cofactors you need to elevate serotonin and make you feel better. Take caffeine out. Caffeine is a big no-no. Caffeine is a big no-no. Caffeine. Sorry. Wait. She's done it. She's done it. It's fine. It's alright. I'm only giving her a hard time. I know she has. I'm just giving her a hard time on it. Caffeine comes out because it affects the gut lining, which is potentially going to increase stomach cramps, etc. Your digestive system is not working as well as it normally does for the rest of the month because blood flow and etc. is going elsewhere. So lighten the food you take in. Instead of taking in steak and chicken and this, that and the other, lighten it to salmon and fish and spinach rather than broccoli, things like that. Things that your body can digest a lot easier. All of these things will serve to do you a lot of good. So if you have issues with cravings, if you have issues with appetite, menstrual cycle, anything like that, it can be fixed. If you want any more information on it that we can't answer in these live feeds, drop us a direct message and we'll come back to you. What's your opinion on the Zone Diet by Barry Sears? It will just be a reinvention of the wheel. I had a vague read of that a while ago, and I believe it is just a reinvention of the wheel, but I can't remember if it was that one I read, so I don't want to answer it in case I'm wrong. How many times a week would you recommend training? I've just started HRT and training and where I need rest days. I would say the absolute maximum most of you are going to want to do is 2 to 3 weight training sessions and maximum 2 HRT sessions. We again have talked about this, that high intensity interval training is amazing and it's convenient wherever you are, but it's aggressive, super, super aggressive. It's very, very easy to end up with joint problems and elevating, we talk about cortisol, we talk about stress. It can elevate cortisol a bit too high if done too much, then it becomes counterproductive. So don't do too much of even a good thing. Evening, my post-workout protein, pea protein makes me want to vomit. Can I add anything without compromising my Live Up diet plan? MP Bradley, Choco Treats, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You're the same as me.
It's great.
Choco Treats is epic. Go to upfitness.com and go and buy Choco Treats. Type it in the search bar, it's going to be your easiest way. Choco Treats, absolutely awesome. Put a scoop of that in with it, it's mega. Classically, have you tried vegan protein?
Yeah, it's hit and miss, isn't it?
Classically, it's quite bad. However, another shameless plug here. We have just sorted out a chocolate hazelnut vegan protein, which I tried today, and it is...
Is it good? I've not tried it yet.
Banging! It was amazing. I was actually genuinely surprised, because you know it's usually quite chalky, and you're like, you kind of have to lick the rest of it off the top of your mouth because it's a bit dusty. It was amazing.
Chocolate hazelnut. Hook the girl up.
Oh. If she plays her cards right, Nick, maybe we can send something to her. In fact, yeah, you just got to ask Nick, right? Nick will hook you up. Right, Ellie, I've recently found out I have a genetic cholesterol issue, LDL5, DHL1, also low testosterone. Any tips for aiding muscle growth? Thanks. I would have to look more into it, Aidan. Obviously, I've trained you before, and you don't have too many issues putting on muscle. I remember that quite clearly. So it'll be something that's a little bit too specific for this. Sorry, another one. I have about 3 stone to lose. Should I be more focused on the cardio as opposed to weight training? Obviously, I have my answer to this, but there's a girl behind us who lost considerably more than that. Which should she be focusing on? Weight training or cardio?
It's weight training every time. And obviously you don't want to lose your cardio. You still need to integrate that. Keeping your steps up is a big one. If you're hitting those 10,000 steps a day, you know, I started monitoring my steps maybe a couple of years ago, and I thought, I don't really need to do this. I'm definitely doing 10,000 steps a day. And I wasn't. I was averaging around 7,000 at that time. And I was still on my feet all day on set, etc. But when you think you're doing that many, you might not be. So it's a really good idea to monitor that, because it makes a huge difference. But without a doubt, weight training for body composition is hands down the best way to go.
100% agree. Weight training should always be your number one. Weight training is going to get you to where you want to go a lot faster. The reason being, especially if you're short for time, if you're doing cardio, you're burning calories during that hour. If you are weight training, you are not only burning calories during that hour and often a bit more, you are creating a need for your body to recover, repair tissues. You create an energy deficit for the next 24 to 48 hours where your body is going to be burning up to 20% more calories. So weight training should always be your number one. And as Kath said, the rest of the time, just be active, walk, move, track your steps.
But also as a mum, there were certain things that, you know, if you carried a baby, I remember after having Alfie, I thought, oh my God, my stomach's never going to go back to what it was. And it was the weight training that actually has pulled it back to pretty much where it was. And you're not going to get that same result by just doing cardio.
No, you need to remember, again, after pregnancy especially, you have to keep your hormones in the right place, and classic cardio doesn't really do that. It's going to elevate stress hormones, it's going to cause a few issues, and you have to be nourished. You know, one of the things that Kath has as a resource is UP, and also she reads a lot, she studies a lot, she knows a lot about nutrition herself. You know, I'd go so far as to say that most PTs out there, she'd probably run rings around when it came to nutrition. She'd probably say no because she's humble, but I speak to her a lot about it. You have to be nourished if you want everything to fall into place, especially after pregnancy, because yes, some of you out there will have a genetic predisposition to have stretch marks and this, that and the other, but they really genuinely can be helped if you take care of yourself and you give the body what it needs to fix itself. Everything can be cured by food. Right, we have 2 minutes, so we're going to try and blast through however many there are left and go quick. Breakfast, post-workout, protein and fats, or protein and carbs? Protein and carbs. Do ladies look manly if they lift too much weight?
No.
Hell no. Sorry, I joined late. If this hasn't been covered, how long can you take a break for if you are feeling totally burnt out? And I love working out hard between hot yoga. As long as you need to, Cat V. You know, as I say, we talk about rest all the time because she works crazy hours, crazy schedules. She's always moving around. Rest is just as important, because if you're not resting, you're not going to get the most out of your work time, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's hugely important.
Prioritise rest. Working long, stressful hours in the city and travelling a lot. Worried I will lose condition, but I'm shattered. You won't.
Can I just step in there with meditation as well?
Yeah.
Even if it's just 10 minutes on your lunch break, just to do some breathing. I found it really helps. And in terms of bringing your cortisol levels down, I guess the more you can do that, the better.
Giving yourself a little bit of time to step out of your own brain. This is why I love sort of fasted cardio, some of you call it a morning walk. That morning walk can set you up. And, you know, Kath says about meditation, Your meditation doesn't necessarily have to be you sitting there. It can be lying down, it can be sitting on a beach, it can be sitting in your office, it can be putting some music on.
Using an app, there's loads of apps
exactly
out
right.
there now.
Guided meditation. Just something to allow you to have a bit of mindfulness. Nick swears by this, you know. And Nick's a highly stressed man, lots of stuff going on, but he swears by it. We have 18 seconds left. Awesome. Supplements, daily dose. Are these okay? Hey guys, I work stress like a sleep, blah, 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 blah. It's a struggle for me. Is there anything I can do which will support my body in terms of recovery? Magnesium at night. We have 5 seconds. Anyone who we haven't answered, please send direct messages and I will record separate videos on them. Thank you, Kath.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Peace out. Right, YouTube. Kath, as obviously we've been looking over here. Apologies for not making eye contact. We are trustworthy, trust me. Thank you for showing up and giving everybody advice that I can't give them. I'm being a mother, a businesswoman, an actor.
I'm sure you could. You could try.
I could try. I'll come in a business suit next time. I'd look alright with frills, I reckon. YouTube, obviously, there's a lot of questions we've covered here. There's a lot of stuff we were talking about. But if you have any questions, put them in the comments box below and we will answer them. It may not be Kath specifically, but I certainly will get involved. I reckon we should do this again at some point. If we can fit it in with Kath's crazy, crazy busy schedule, we will absolutely do it. So please like it, comment, share, give us any feedback that you want to give us and we will return very, very soon. So goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.